Good morning, students. The last class we studied about IS curve and how to derive the IS curve. An IS curve shows different combinations of interest rate and income, which gives saving investment equality. It also shows equilibrium in the goods market. Equilibrium in the goods market has already been studied in the Keynesian economics in the name of Keynesian cross. So that is called a one sector model. We have to make it a two-sector model. In a two-sector model, in addition to the goods market, we also have the money market, also called the financial market. So now we are going to find the equilibrium in a financial market. Okay, a financial market is in equilibrium when demand for money is equal to supply of money. Okay, MD is equal to MS. A financial market is in equilibrium when MD is equal to MS. Making it real quantities, we know that MD by P is equal to MS by P. That is, here we are deflating it with the price index to get real values of demand for money and real value of supply of money. Okay. So how does the demand for money and supply of money are determined? We know that in Keynesian analysis, supply of money is exogenously determined. That is, the central bank fixes the supply of money. So it is given as such, and there is nothing that economic theory or the economy itself can do about the supply of money. It has been exogenously fixed. So just keep it there as a fixed variable. Now we have to move to the demand for money. Demand for money depends upon two things: the level of income as well as the rate of interest. So here supply of money is given as fixed, and we have to find the demand for money, which is a function of interest, income and rate of interest. Okay, and we know that demand for money is positively related with income. With an increase in income, demand for money will increase, because demand for money is mainly for three purposes. First one is for transaction purposes, that is to make day-to-day transactions. So when income increases, our day-to-day transaction also will be higher, and hence the demand for transaction money will be higher. Second one is precautionary demand, that is in order to meet unforeseen emergencies. So normally this is also positively related with income, though less elastic than transaction demand for money. So a higher income will always lead to higher precautionary demand for money. And finally we have speculative demand for money. Speculative demand for money is to make profit out of knowing more than the market what the future will bring forth. So speculative demand will also increase with increase in income. The second term that affects demand for money here is interest rate. Okay, how does interest rate affect demand for money? In Keynesian analysis, there are two financial assets. One is money, second one is a bond. Okay, money we know is the currency that is issued by the central bank. Okay, a money as such does not give you any interest rate, but it gives you convenience in making transactions. So people hold money in order to make transactions for precautionary purposes and for speculative purposes. Whereas they hold bond because bond gives them a specific rate of return in the form of interest. We know that bond is a fixed income instrument which gives a specific rate of return over a period of time, also known as its maturity period. Okay, so here we have to find how people hold money in relation to bonds. Okay, people need money for these specific purposes that we discussed already, but holding money is costly. What is the cost of holding money? It is the opportunity cost. That is, when we are holding money in our hand, liquid cash in our hand, we are forced giving the interest rate that we could have earned from that money by depositing it in bank. This is called the opportunity cost of money. So people will try to minimize, a rational or optimizing individual will try to minimize the opportunity cost of holding money. So he will like to hold the least amount of money that is possible. So this is done by adjusting the holding of money and bonds. Okay, so how is money and bonds related? Bonds give you an interest rate, whereas money does not give you an interest rate. So when interest rate increases, demand for money should fall and demand for bonds should increase. So what is the relation between demand for bonds and interest rate? That is what we are going to discuss now. We already discussed it in previous semester that interest rate and bond prices are inversely related. Okay, when interest rate increases, bond prices fall, because suppose there was a bond whose face value is 1000 rupees and the discount rate of the bond was 10%. That means the bond will give you 100 rupees every year. Suppose it was a perpetuity, so that it has no expiry date. So every year the bond will give you 100 rupees based on its interest rate. Okay, suppose the market interest rate increases to 20%. Then what happens? A new bond will give you, a new bond with a face value of 1000 rupees will give you 200 rupees. So the old bond has become less attractive because it is only giving you 100 rupees. So here there are two bonds, one bond which give you 100 rupees per year and another bond which give you 200 rupees per year. Obviously people will prefer the bond which give 200 rupees per year. So the demand for the bond which gives 100 rupees will fall. And so when demand falls, it is an economic law that when demand falls, the price should fall. And how much the price should fall? The price should fall till the rate of return from both bonds are equal. That is, the first bond commands a rate of return of 20%, and so the second bond should also give a rate of return of 20%. The second bond's face value is now 1000. So the face value or price of that bond should fall. It should fall less than the face value. So by some economic calculations, mathematical calculations, we can see that the price of bond will fall to 500 rupees. When the price of the bond is 500 rupees, it will give you 100 rupees every year. 100 divided by 500 is 20%. So the rate of return from both bonds are now equal. Both are giving 20% return. So the first bond, the bond that was issued first, is priced at 500 rupees and the second bond is priced at 1000 rupees. So this explains the inverse relationship between interest rate and price of bond. And suppose the interest rate fell from 10% to 5%, then the old bond gives you 100 rupees per year, whereas a new bond with a face value of the same 1000 rupees gives you only 50 rupees. So what should happen? The old bond, the price of the old bond should increase from 1000. How much it should increase? It should increase to 2000. So when it is priced at 2000 rupees, it will give you 100 rupees per year. 100 divided by 2000 is 5%, and the new bond which is issued at a coupon rate of 5% also gives you 5%. So again price of bonds has increased. Here the price of bond, the old bond has increased because interest rate, market interest rate has fallen. So this very well explains the inverse relationship between bonds and demand for bonds and interest rate. Okay, so here when interest rate increases, we know that the bond prices falls and demand for bond increases. So therefore what should happen? There should be less demand for money. People are depositing their money into bonds. Okay, so there is less liquidity preference. So that is how the demand for money and interest rate are inversely related. A higher interest rate is often associated with a lower demand for money, and a lower interest rate is often associated with a higher demand for money. So here we know that demand for money is a function of a level of income and rate of interest. It is positively related with the level of income and negatively related with the rate of interest. Using this relationship, we can derive the LM function. Our LM function shows equilibrium in the money market or financial market. Okay, we are using the area curve that we derived in the last class and the LM curve that we are going to derive now to arrive at equilibrium in a two-sector Keynesian economy. Okay, so LM curve, just as IS curve had two terms in it, investment and saving, or it shows saving investment equality, LM curve also has two terms, demand for money and supply of money. So LM curve shows a situation where demand for money is equal to supply of money. So here LM curve can be represented as a situation where demand for money, real demand for money is equal to real supply of money. Okay, MS by P is nominal supply of money divided by price level. MD by P is nominal demand for money divided by price level, and it gives you real demand for money and real supply of money. So financial market will be in equilibrium at the point where demand for money is equal to supply of money. Okay, let's see how this can be done. Okay, here we have a two quadrant diagram. Two quadrant diagram. In the first quadrant, we show demand for money, okay, and supply of money. This is the exogenously determined supply of money. This is the exogenously determined supply of money. Here we have the rate of interest, and here we have the quantity of money, whether it is demand for money or supply of money. And we know that the supply of money is exogenously determined, okay, by the central bank. Now we have to impose the demand for money curve on this. Demand for money curve, we know that it is inversely related to rate of interest. So it should have a negative slope. So here we have demand for money curve which is negatively sloped. At higher rates of interest, the demand for money will be low. At lower rate of interest, the demand for money will be high. Okay, so it shows the inverse relationship between demand for money and supply of money. And what does the Y naught shows? The Y naught shows the level of income. This demand for money is applicable to a specific level of income, which is Y naught. So this demand for money is applicable to Y naught level of income. What if we have another level of income? For example, suppose we have a higher level of income, Y1. So what will be the what will happen to the demand for money? We know that higher levels of income, demand for money will increase. Transaction, speculative as well as precautionary demand for money will increase. So for higher level of income Y1, we will have a new demand for money curve such as D1, Y1, which will be higher. So here the same rate of interest at D0, Y0, the demand for money at, for example, at R0 is equal to M0, whereas at the same rate of interest R0, the demand for money with an income level of Y1 is M1. Why this demand for money has increased from M0 to M1? Because either transaction demand, precautionary demand or speculative demand, or all the three of them have increased, and therefore demand for money has increased. We do not need these details, so I am just rubbing this off. So we have two demand for money curves corresponding to two separate levels of income. D0 corresponding to an income level of Y0 and D1 corresponding to an income level of Y1. We know that equilibrium in the money market achieves at a point where D0 Y0 is equal to MOS, that is the supply of money, and D1 Y1 is also equal to MOS, supply of money. Supply of money does not change because it is exogenously determined. So demand for money curve D0 Y0 is equal to supply of money at R0 interest rate. D1 Y1 demand for money curve is equal to supply of money curve at R1 rate of interest. So in order to equate demand for money with supply of money at a higher level of income, interest rate has to increase. Why this has to happen? Why interest rate has to increase? Because when income increases, there is an inequality between demand for money and supply of money. When income increases, demand for money increases. Supply of money does not change. So demand for money is greater than supply of money, and there is an inequality between demand for money and supply of money. So what should happen? Either supply of money has to increase or demand for money has to fall. Supply of money, we know that it is not going to increase because it is exogenously determined. So demand for money has to fall. And we know that there are three components of demand for money: transaction, equation and speculative demand for money. And among these, when interest rate increases, speculative demand for money falls, because when interest rate increases, bonds prices have become cheaper, and therefore there is a higher demand for bonds, and therefore the speculative demand for money falls, and demand for money and supply of money again come into equilibrium at a higher rate of interest. This happens, speculative demand for money increases only when interest rate increases from R0 to R0. Okay, this is how money market equilibrium is achieved. Now from this information we can safely derive the LM curve. You can safely derive the LM curve. On the y-axis we have rate of interest, and on the x-axis we have quantity of money. Sorry, income. On the y-axis we have rate of interest, and on the x-axis we have income. and on the x-axis we have income. So here rate of interest, we can plot the rate of interest from first quadrant. This is the first quadrant and this is second quadrant. Here from the first quadrant we plot the rate of interest on the second quadrant. This is R1, and we also have a second interest rate R0. Okay, D1, Y1. Second interest rate R0. Okay, so we have two rates of interest R1 and R0 at which money market is in equilibrium. Demand for money is equal to supply of money. At R0, D0 Y0 is equal to MOS. At R1, D1 Y1 is equal to MOS. So what is the importance of these two rates of interest? At these rates of interest, demand for money is equal to supply of money, R0 and R1. We plot R0 and R1 into a separate diagram and we get two values. Now on the x-axis we are measuring level of income. On the x-axis we are measuring level of income. What are the levels of income that are available to us? We have two levels of income, Y0 and Y1. We plot Y0 here and a higher level of income Y1 here. Y0 here and Y1 here. It is taken from this demand for money curves. Okay. So we have got combinations of interest rate and income. Okay, which brings in money market equilibrium. Y0 income and R0 interest rate. This is one combination of interest rate and income. This is one combination of interest rate and income which brings in money market equilibrium, or money supply is equal to demand for money. Here we have another combination of interest rate and income which brings in money market equilibrium. Demand for money is equal to supply of money. So we plot this combination here, R0 Y0, R0 Y0 on the new graph. One point here, R1 Y1, R1 Y1 on another point here. So we have got 2 points, and when we are connecting these, we have the LM curve. When we are connecting this, we have the LM curve. So this is how we derive the LM curve. Okay, so this LM curve shows equilibrium in the money market. It shows different combinations of interest rate and income at which money market is in equilibrium, or it shows different combinations of interest and income at which demand for money is equal to supply of money. So this LM curve talks about financial market equilibrium or money market equilibrium. Okay, and why this LM curve is sloped upwards? It has a positive slope because a higher level of income which causes inequality between demand for money and supply of money should be compensated by a higher level of interest which reduces demand for money through a reduction in speculative demand for money. Okay, so a higher income is only consistent with a higher rate of interest in the money market for it to be in equilibrium. Okay, so LM curve has a positive slope. Now we have got the two market equilibrium, goods market equilibrium as well as the money market equilibrium. IS curve representing goods market equilibrium and LM curve representing money market equilibrium. We can bring these two curves together and find the equilibrium in a two-sector economy. A two-sector economy is one which has goods sector as well as money sector, financial sector as well as goods sector. So we have a new diagram. On the x-axis we have the rate of interest, on the y-axis we have the level of income. And we know that IS curve has this slope. IS curve shows different combinations of income, interest rate and income which brings in goods market equilibrium. It is downward sloping because a higher level of income which increases saving should be matched by a lower rate of interest which increases investment. Okay, so on this curve saving is equal to investment, therefore we call it IS curve. Then we have the LM curve which is upward sloping. It shows money market equilibrium. It shows combinations of interest rate and income at which money market is in equilibrium. It is positively sloping because a higher level of income increases the demand for money, and in order for demand for money and supply of money to be equal, demand for money has to fall, and it should happen only with an increase in interest rate. So speculative demand for money falls and income and interest rate, demand for money and supply of money are in equilibrium. And the equilibrium of the economy is defined by the intersection of goods market and money market. At this point, income is determined as Y0 and interest rate is determined as R0. So at this point E, money market and goods market are in equilibrium. Along this LM curve, only money market is in equilibrium, and along this IS curve, only goods market in equilibrium. We only have one unique point at which both goods market as well as money market is in equilibrium. It is given by point E. So this is the equilibrium in a two-sector model. Okay, thank you students. I have uploaded the notes in LMS. You can download the notes, read it, and please practice deriving both IS curve and LM curve 4 or 5 times. Okay, you may have confusion, and for any doubts you can contact me, our phone or WhatsApp or our LMS. Okay.